Hello. Hey.
Hey everyone.
Welcome to JA Millionaire Circle, where wealth starts with mindset, where Jazmin and Angelica, two ambitious Latinas sharing our raw, real-time journey to millionaire status. No overnight success stories here, just the hustle, lessons, and mindset shifts as we make it happen. Let's build, elevate, and inspire together. Woo! Okay. On that
It's a good
note, how's
introduction.
everyone doing? How are you doing, Angelica?
We're good. It's spring and I immediately felt the depression of the season leave. Like,
Lift, just
Mm.
lift.
Yeah. Yeah,
Is it?
even my outfits. What about
I
you?
love it. Like I'm loving this outfit. I love the earrings. I love the whole like we both did stripes today. Feeling the
Yeah.
stripes. Stripes are really in right now.
Yeah, they are. And I
In
just feel
this,
like with this weather, there's no more boots. Like I'm ready to put that away. Being in the Northeast is not for the weak. I mean, the sun was going down at 3. 3
oh
o'clock.
my gosh. Oh my gosh. That is
Sorry.
rough. Yeah, the time
But yeah,
change is messing me up too. Like, oh, I'm so tired between the time change and you know, all my hustles going on between my part-time job styling and my consultations. I'm like, I am rough. I'm so tired.
but you're doing it and you got a milestone, so I'm super happy. We got to celebrate that.
I know it's going,
Yeah.
it's going. Like the consultations are coming in. It's picking up. It's doing great. I can't complain. I'm really excited. So that's doing well. And what's the latest on your PhD?
Um, right now I am waiting to hear back. So I did submit the application and everything before February. So now I'm just playing the waiting game and praying because now that really sets me up for the next 5 years of my life. So I don't know if it's going to be a yes or no. And I already started making moves in case that did or didn't go through. Like I'm already touring other schools and, I'm just not going to stop. I still want to do my business, but, there needs to be money coming in for me to do that too.
Right, right, to fund it, to get it started. So,
Yeah.
sounds good. Making moves. We'll see what happens. Do you know when you'll hear back? Do you know about the
This
time frame?
week.
This week?
This week. Yeah.
Ooh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
Sending you
Like
good vibes. Can't wait to
I
hear what. So, everyone stay tuned. I'm sure by the next podcast, we'll know what's happening with Angelica.
yeah. This is part of the journey that we're recording and it's like I
Literally
feel like
live happening.
yeah,
We're documenting it as it happens. This could be
the
the moment.
pressure's on.
Yeah,
You
for
don't know if
life.
I have tequila in here or not. I'm kidding. It's just
What's a
crazy.
mixed drink in there?
Hmm.
So on today's show, we're so excited. Angelica and I would love to talk about etiquette. I know it's not something you would think right off the bat, how this falls into all of like, into how this can help improve and enhance your chances for success in life, but it does. So, etiquette, a lot of people think it's just like about a set of rules or a way for you to look, I don't know, elitist or snobby, but that's not it at all. Etiquette is so important, not only because it helps you blend in with different groups depending on like where you're trying to get in life, whether that is socializing in business or just trying to get into different social circles. Knowing the etiquette really helps you make that transition better and chances of success there. And it also shows respect to the people around you. And it's so nice once you've kind of learned etiquette that it's almost like you have a playbook for everything. Like you know how you're supposed to sit, stand, interact, like what's the proper response in this situation. It makes life a lot easier when you know the proper like roadmap, the guide of like how you're supposed to conduct yourself in these different settings. Um, did you have anything you wanted to add to that, Angelica,
Yeah, you were
before
on the
I start?
flow and I didn't want to mess you up.
Oh no, go ahead,
And I
go
was
ahead.
trying not to sneeze so my eyes go on. I would like to add, no, I think etiquette is a crucial part of life. And, it was funny because like I didn't even kind of know what etiquette really was. But I remember when I got proposed to, I like posted my ring and then I was like, now I got to take etiquette classes. And like that word just came out. I never heard it, never did it. And it just came out, and I was like, oh, etiquette classes. That sounds cool.
What made you think about etiquette as soon as you got engaged? I think that's a great, like, why did that come to your mind?
Well, I knew that I was with a very high valued man, and I thought, oh my goodness, this guy's a real estate broker, and he's kind of popular, and I'm going to be next to him. So I was like, I can't like be running a brokerage with no etiquette and going to these, meetings with him. We were constantly at like Albernays or steakhouses with lenders and things like that. So I was like, geez, I got to take an etiquette class. I have to make sure that, I grew up in the barrio. We both did. And it's very hard because I can go from like, hey, what are you doing, guys? What do you want to do? Like, I can go from that. I mean, that's how I spoke all the time. And then when I got with, I was like, how are you today? Like I had to change. Sorry, it was a good, sorry. But I felt like I had to get like serious. I was like, oh crap, I got to grow up today. Today, no pressure. So yeah,
So,
I just
yeah, it was just because you knew that your husband was in different social circles, different business circles, and you're like, I need to make sure that I'm showing my husband respect by knowing how to conduct myself in these different circles, right?
right. And he
Yeah.
went to a private school, so that also made me feel somewhat inadequate, and I will say that out loud. It's
Hmm.
okay though. I think part of learning etiquette is knowing how to be gentle with yourself and gracefully say, I used to look at like, what do I do with this fork? Which one's the butter fork? Like,
Yeah.
which one do I use for the oysters? And he would help like socially cue me. And finally, I was just like, I got to take my classes because I feel so included. It's like a cool person's club when you get it. When you're finally locked in, you're like, yeah, money
I
knows money.
belong
So,
here.
like, yeah. And it's just cool. How did you do it with your experience? Like, how did you know when you needed to learn it?
I think, well, I started getting into etiquette, and this is going to sound so funny because I don't think I've ever mentioned this on the show. I was previously married. So I got married very, very young in my early 20s. And I got into etiquette when I was planning the wedding because, and again, you said get engaged, but my thing was I wanted to make sure that I didn't know all the rules to planning a wedding and all of the little nuances about it. So I ended up, I think somebody gifted me a book on like how you're supposed to address the invites, like how you're supposed to say, put the names on there, all the things you're supposed to do, the RSVPs, how much time, how you like all of these little things. And I was like, this is awesome to have such a playbook of like, you don't have to just guess. Like there are actually people have actually written out all of the directions on how you're supposed to do these things. And when you do them well, it just makes you shine. It makes you look so polished. It makes you look like you've really done your homework and you're detail oriented and that's already such like my personality. So that's kind of like where I started doing it. And so I've just kind of educated myself along the way. And there is, like I said earlier, there's business etiquette and then there's like social settings etiquette. And so as I was climbing the corporate ladder, I read so many books on business etiquette as a woman in business, how you were supposed to dress, how you were supposed to conduct yourself, like all these little nuances that people don't even realize that, I mean, even down to like how you're supposed to wear your hair, how you're like all of these things in business as a woman. And then I ended up going into like how to conduct yourself in social settings and then I got really excited about, okay, femininity and etiquette. So there's just so much that I just had to consume it all. And I'm like, I just want to know the playbook. If I know the playbook, then I know how to act accordingly in all of these different settings. So
Yeah.
in that spirit, I have picked these are 10 random because any one of these we could probably do a whole deep dive but I wanted to just start with like random examples. And some of these you guys might know, some of these you might not know, but I think it's just really helpful and exciting to know how are we supposed to handle like these different social settings. So I'm gonna just kind of kick it off and add your comments or whatever, Angelica, if anything stands out to you or something that you have seen or anything you want to add. But I'm going to start with the first one. Number one, when someone invites you to an event that they're hosting. So let's say they're having like a dinner and they're bringing you, make sure you always RSVP. Do not assume that that you need to make the hosts job easier. They're trying to plan a menu, they're trying to plan a seating, they're trying to plan make sure that everything, enough alcohol is there. So be considerate. If you're going to attend, tell them as soon as possible. Whatever the event, whether it's like a dinner party or a wedding, whatever the case, let them know as soon as possible. And if you're not going, let them know as soon as possible. As we're getting closer to the date, let's say you did RSVP, yes, and you're getting closer to the date, and now you realize you're running late. Let them know as soon as possible. If you are now, like you're within, we're coming down to the wire, we're within the hour, call the person because they may be scrambling. They may not have their phone immediately on them. Call them or text them and let them know, hey, I'm running late. I'm going to be 10 minutes late. I'm going to be 15 minutes late, whatever the case is, because you don't know what their agenda is and what they were trying to plan. And you don't
A
want to
feast
interrupt.
or something.
Yeah, you don't want to interrupt any of that. So this is all about showing them respect because they were putting all this effort behind the scenes to put on an event for you. So that's one.
Yeah.
On the end, when it comes to the hosting event, the other thing is you never, ever, ever show up empty handed. If you are invited to an event, you should always have something to give the host. They are paying for the dinner, they are paying for the drinks, so whatever it is that they're doing. So give them a gift in return. Traditionally, it has been flowers or wine. But what I'm learning more and more about is that that can actually not be the best gift to bring because if you bring somebody flowers and let's say you brought them in a bouquet and they are not ready for the vase, what if they were still finishing last minute touch ups to a dinner or something when you arrive and now they have to go because they're going to feel pressure to put it on display. So now they're going to go to the sink, get it all ready, put it in a vase. And in that time, another guest could have arrived and they just missed it. So
Right.
unless you're going to bring the bouquet already ready in a vase, ready to put on the table, don't bring them flowers. Wine has been traditionally the thing to bring as well, but now I'm reading that maybe that's not the best idea because what if they had like fish for the entree and they already had a particular wine selected for the dinner and now you brought a red wine and they're going to feel pressure maybe to open up the red wine and that didn't pair with the dinner. So don't bring a wine. What I'm reading is like the best gift is either a thank you note or a chocolate. Bring like chocolates, like a little sweet treat is
Or a
great.
candle.
Yes, or a candle. That's a great idea. So give them a little gift that doesn't interrupt the night, but is thoughtful in saying thank you for hosting our event today. And so moving on to the next one, number two, escalator etiquette. I know this sounds so random, but I've noticed this even when I was traveling in London, when I was taking the tube, they have a lot of escalators, like the tube or like the subway is so many different levels. So what you're supposed to do is when you're getting on an escalator, if you are not going to walk up the escalator, you should always be standing to the right. Even if there's
Mhm.
like, if you're with somebody, do not stand next to each other. Make sure one is up on top and one is up on the down on the bottom so that you leave a clear path for people who are, that need to
In a rush.
in a
Yeah.
rush catch the next one. That is just being mindful and respectful of the other people that do have
Especially in the Northeast. Don't do
exactly.
that. You'll get
But
cussed
that's
out
just,
and
I mean, that's just anywhere. Even if you're at the mall, somebody might be on a rush to go somewhere else. So make sure if you're just going to stand to the right, stay out of the way.
yeah.
Um, Promptness is number three. Promptness. So if you're going to go somewhere or meet somebody, we always want to be respectful of somebody else's time. I mean, like the most disrespectful thing you could do is show up late. Showing up late or showing up and you're running late and you didn't give somebody a notice, most disrespectful thing you could do. So, and you also don't want to show up too early. So let's say somebody, invited you somewhere or even to their house for an event. If you show up 20 minutes early, 30 minutes early, that's even rude too, because maybe they're not finished getting ready. Maybe like they were timing certain things and now you're kind of in the behind the scenes part that they weren't expecting you to be a part of. So the rule of thumb is strive to be 5 to 10 minutes early. That's the window that you should be. That shows I respect your time but I'm also not interrupting everything that you have behind the scenes. So if you find yourself arriving a little too early, sit in your car, just wait. Don't walk in. Give the host or whoever you're meeting about 5 to 10 minutes. That's the most respectful thing to do. Number 4, introductions or greetings. When it comes to introductions, we should always be introducing, and then this sounds weird, but men to women. And women get to choose to whether they want to shake your hand or not. It's just like it's, a woman's choice to
Yeah,
touch or not. When
that's
it
great.
comes, what's that?
I think that's great.
Yeah.
When I first went into a synagogue, I was reaching out to shake the man's hand, and they can't touch other women because it's part of their religion. Sorry to interrupt. I thought it was a cool
Yeah,
story.
no, no, that's a great
So if
little
you ever meet a Jewish person, don't shake his hand if you're the opposite sex.
no, that's good to know. And when it comes to business, um, it's different. When it comes to business, it doesn't matter whether you're a man or a woman. It comes down to higher rank. So whoever is a higher rank. So let's say I am meeting, like I'm introducing a president to a I have a president and a vice president with me, and I want to introduce them to each other. The higher rank. So we always lead with the higher rank. So the president to the vice president. So yeah, so you always start with the higher rank. And then when you shake hands, whether you're a man or a woman, when you shake hands, a woman should always, it should not be a weak handshake. You go in, it's a firm. It's not strong, it's not painful. We're not trying to hurt anybody. Like a lot of men think that you have to do that. No, it's supposed to be firm. We're not trying to hurt them. We're not trying to do a power move. And then it should be for business, it is 2 pumps. So 1, 2. If it's social, it can go up to 3 pumps when you're shaking hands. When number 5, when we're talking about dinner, we have this one. This one, I'm just going to pick and choose a couple of things because being
We can go into a whole thing for that.
that's a whole tutorial. And like, I've gone through etiquette training for dinner and it was like a 2-hour in-person tutorial. So there's a lot to cover when it comes to dinner etiquette specifically. But here's some of the highlights I'm gonna choose. There are 3 versions of dinner etiquette. It's called British, Continental, and American. And American is the most casual version of dinner etiquette. So those are the 3. When it comes to our purse, we never want to put our purse on the floor. If we put our purse on the floor, that can, if the wait staff doesn't see it, they can step on it. It can cause problems when they're trying to serve the food, deliver the food.
It's
So
just sloppy.
yes, so it should always be like a small enough purse because we're at dinner now, so it shouldn't be a big bag. The purse, you can either, if it's a smaller bag, you can put it on a hook at the end of the table. Usually, if it's fine dining, they usually have a designated area for your purse, so you can put your purse there. You can put it behind your back because in proper etiquette, we should never have our back. I know I was relaxing here, but we should never actually have our back up against a seat. You should always be seated like this, chest up, good posture, and our back should never touch the back of the seat. So our purse could go in the back, or we could put it on our lap underneath our napkin. And so it'll be protected underneath the napkin.
Mm.
So that's for the purse. Here's another thing. When the wait staff comes by, when they're coming to start serving you, serve your water, serve your drink, whatever it is, acknowledge them. Look them in the eye and say thank you. Whether you're in a conversation or anything, it is just proper etiquette to always acknowledge the wait staff. Always be kind,
And
always be
get their
respectful.
name
Yeah, get their
instead
name.
of
I mean,
sir, ma'am.
yeah, and
Hey,
even if
can I
you
get another
don't
one?
get their
Yeah.
name, you can just always acknowledge them, because it just depends on what's going on in the setting. You also don't want to cause too much disruption to the conversation you're having with the people at the table. And let's say you have been trained in etiquette and now we're going into our dinner and you are noticing somebody making so many mistakes. You're like, oh, they're doing this with their bread and they're doing that with their fork, and oh my God, they're totally like killing the etiquette here. We never correct. It is in bad taste. So even if the person at the table is like maybe the highest ranking person and the CEO that just never got, taught etiquette, we don't correct him. You don't say anything. It's just rude. So let them be. That's how they feel comfortable. It's just bad taste to correct somebody.
And most people in those positions mistakenly do that, or not mistakenly, they do it on purpose because I think they test people to see where their caliber is with,
Mhm.
where you've been, who you sat with, to add into.
Yeah, possibly. But whatever the case is, you don't fold. You hold your etiquette. So that's a good way of showing them like, okay, well, I know what I'm supposed to do. So I'm going to stay on my etiquette. Now, phone. A lot of people these days always leave their phone on the table. That is the rudest thing you can do. So there's moments where it's acceptable, where let's say you've arrived for an event, you're sitting down, but you do have an emergency phone call that you are expecting. You tell people at the table immediately, I just want to give you a heads up. I am expecting an important call, so I'm going to have my phone out. And then as soon as that call does come in, you excuse yourself and you go somewhere else privately to have that conversation so that you don't interrupt everybody else's dining experience. So that's the only time a phone is allowed to be out if there is an emergency call that you're expecting. Other than that, that phone should be on silent, tucked away, out of sight, so that you are present with the people there for the dinner, showing them respect. Any comments on that, Angelica?
I mean, it just depends. What to all the 10 that you had listed? I mean, for instance, you and I like to drink tea. I didn't even know there was a whole afternoon tea thing until I met
Mhm.
Carl. He's like, I gotta take you to the plaza. We're going to go have tea. I didn't know it was like tea, caviar, bread, scones, butter.
Oh
It
God,
was
that's
a
a
whole
whole nother
ordeal.
etiquette too, just to learn tea etiquette.
Yeah.
That's a whole tutorial too.
It's fine though. He ordered the champagne. He's like, no, the purpose of afternoon tea is actually the time when you're appropriately. It's frowned upon to gossip, but if you're gonna gossip, it's over that session. It's not like over dinner. I wouldn't say gossip is even allowed, but it's chisme. Like that's just the best time to get your
This
chisme
is you don't even realize this, but you set me up for the perfect transition to number six. So
in.
topics off limits for socializing. So like we're working a room, it's cocktail hour, socializing, we're trying to network or whatever the case is. Or you're at a business event with your husband, and we're networking the room. Topics that we should stay away from. And I know, and some people, they're going to be like, I don't think so. This is controversial. But this is not my opinion. This is just proper etiquette. So topics we should stay away from are politics, religion, money, bedroom activities, vices, general illnesses, diet, gossip, and then any family specifics.
So no
Yeah.
baby mamas. I
Yeah,
keep
like
myself there.
yeah, the baby mamas probably can't handle this, circle here.
Just kidding, guys. I'm just trying to make it funny. Okay,
Yeah.
so
So
that's
those are
important.
Yeah, those are all of the lists of things that we should not be bringing up. And I'll be honest, I still struggle with this because I really like to, and who knows, it could be the trauma in me, but I like to know somebody. I like to connect with somebody on a deeper level. And I
Get
am
deep.
guilty of asking questions like they said, family specifics. Like, are you married? And, do you have children? And they say like this is in poor taste because what if they're in the middle of a divorce? What if like, and it could be really awkward. So you're not supposed to ask these things. I know it's hard because like you take all those things away, then who is the person in front of me? What are we left to talk about if we're
That's
not
a
getting
lot.
down to the trauma?
Yeah, the deep part. No, I
Yeah.
agree. I think it's like very hard coming from trauma backgrounds. You're not talking about your life. It's what we
Yeah.
do.
I'm like, how do we
So
not
I'd be
gossip?
like,
How do we not talk about diet? How do we
yeah.
like? What's
Who's your
left?
favorite who's your favorite tennis player at this point? Like
I know. Yeah.
just Google somebody. Golfing, that's the safest subject.
Yeah. So some of the examples that I read was like, um, especially when you're trying to kick up a conversation, you're like, okay, if I can't talk about any of those things, like how do we begin? You always ask, like, how do you know the host? And then, you tell them where you met the host and how, your history with the host or something like that. You could also say like, oh, I just recently found out the Dallas Symphony Orchestra is having this, particular event. I haven't been there in ages. Have you been to the Dallas Symphony Orchestra? Like
Yeah,
these are all like the topics. Then you get a feel for them, asking a question like that. Then this is a person that attends the orchestra or like a
they must
Broadway
like
show.
wine
Yes.
and they must
Yes.
be traveled. So boom, you're good for the
Yes. So
next
that's how
10
you
minutes.
kind of kick it up. You're like, I can say, this is how I'm also introducing my taste as a person to this person.
Yeah,
All right, number 7, grooming. So this one is really important because this is your packaging. Your grooming is whether you like it or not, we're getting judged in the first 3 to 5 seconds somebody sees us. They're gonna make
I'm
a
judging. It's me. No, I'm just kidding.
it's Angelica, she's judging you.
I,
She's judging
I just,
Barb.
just kidding.
They're gonna judge
No.
you right off the bat. Your hair, your makeup, your nails, your clothes. And God, I mean, it's so many details. And it says a lot when you keep your nails clean and tidy, when you keep your hair tidy, when you have your clothes are properly pressed. Like if you're going to wear a button-up shirt, make sure it's pressed and make sure, it's looking presentable. Like Miss Angelica right now, like that her shirt is crisp and clean, and you can tell she put herself together. Her hair is
Sorry.
up. We got makeup on, and it's not over the top. You never want to have like over the top makeup either because that just doesn't look tasteful. I like the way I had just went to an event last week for my business and it was called the Style Advantage. And they showed this great example like on the screen. They're like, would you rather have this gift or this gift? And it showed a present that was beautifully packaged with this crisp, like wrapping paper and a beautiful bow. And it was just like, it looks so well thought and so aesthetically pleasing. And then it showed this other gift that was like wrapped around and it looked like it was like all crumpled up and then it was like put together with like a string. And it was like, would you rather have this gift or that gift? And it's like it just goes to show that packaging, that presentation, you are conveying 90% and above who you are, what your brand is in just your presentation,
Yeah,
like
I
before you even
agree.
open your mouth.
You don't want to give EBT, even if you were an EBT.
I want to give you
Sorry, I'm just in a row today with my. I feel so serious. Like we're so
No, I love it.
serious.
Lighten it up, lighten it up. I mean, I live for this. I live for structure and rules. Like this is like I know I'm such a nerd, but this gives me joy. I'm like, what is the playbook? And I'm gonna do it. I love rules. All right, the next one. Holding the door for others. This is number 8. Whether you're a woman or a man, it doesn't matter. If you have already walked through the door and there's somebody behind you, it is courteous and proper etiquette to hold the door and let them in. You shouldn't have to stand there and let every single person in. You just hold the door, let them in, and then they can hold it for the next person.
Sorry, I'm laughing.
What's happening? Did you mess up? Did you do this?
No, I don't know these people. I'm gonna let the door. I'm just kidding.
You're just gonna let the door hit him? Oh my God.
But it's just funny because it was raining one time and the door was like swinging out of control. And sorry, it was really funny, but I didn't open.
You
I
did
should have
know.
opened.
I mean, we mess up, okay? We can't, it's a lot of rules. Like sometimes we mess up. We don't
Sorry,
get it right, but we try.
I got hot. It was just
Yeah.
so funny.
So we should not let the door hit them. Always hold it. If they're right behind you, doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman, go ahead and, let them in. But going back to like between a man and a woman, and it's like, if we're both approaching the door at the same time. This one's tough because it depends on where you're at, because not a lot of men know to open the door for women. Certain places like in Texas, most men, like 99% of the men know to open the door down here. Now in California, no, it's every man for himself. So,
That's why I was laughing because we're in the Northeast and
yeah.
holding the door for someone. I'm like, sorry, but go ahead.
So that typically, that was something I actually had to learn in Texas, is I was always so used to opening my own door. And in Texas, the men really love to open the door for women. And they almost find it disrespectful if you're not patient enough to give them the opportunity. So I felt like I learned to like stand at a door like a cat, like, all right, any time now someone's gonna let me in.
That's cute. That's what I do to the car door with people because my husband, sorry.
Yeah.
That's what I do with my husband. I have to stand there like a little kitty cat and just let him open my door and then I get in. It's a whole ordeal, and to bring it up, we were talking about it earlier, sitting at the dinner table, every time I have to go to the restroom, I say, "Hey, can I be excused?" Well, my husband has to stand up whenever I'm leaving, and then he stands up when I come back to sit down. Just things like that.
Yeah. Yes, yes, I agree. I think I think the best way to say it though would be like, could you excuse me? I have to go to the ladies' room. We shouldn't say restroom. We should say ladies' room or powder room. And then, yeah, because I also don't want it to sound like you're asking for permission, because you're not asking for permission. You're like, you don't say, can I? You're like,
Mhm.
excuse
Can
me,
you
I'm
excuse
going
me?
to
Did
the
I say
ladies' room.
that? Did I
Yeah,
just
it
say
sounded like
excuse
you were
me?
asking permission to go to the
Oh, sorry.
bathroom.
I just say excuse me. I gotta go. Just kidding.
You're like, I'm not asking permission. I gotta go.
Excuse me, I'll be back. I'll be right
Yeah.
back.
Yeah, I'm going to the ladies' room. That was a great point though. Like we don't want to say like restroom. We want to say I'm going to the ladies' room. It just sounds
Yeah,
more,
it's inappropriate.
yeah.
We're eating.
Yeah, I'm going to the ladies' room, or I'm going to the powder room. Like it just sounds, more classy,
Proper.
more proper. Number 9 is sending thank you notes. So this is kind of like, I feel like it's a lost art, and it's something I'm trying to make sure I do more of. So if somebody does invite you to an event, like, it speaks volumes that after the event you thank them. If it's a casual event, you can send a text message afterwards. If it was something that they really put a whole lot of effort and thought into, send them a handwritten note, like on really nice, like, cardstock. And like I have a bunch of them with really pretty cardstock and envelope and all of that. So when there's
Oh,
a nice moment where I want to thank somebody, I write out like a thoughtful note, like, thank you so much. It was so beautiful. I'm so grateful for our friendship, or whatever the case is. You write it down in a little thank you note and then you send it to them. And yeah, so it just says a lot about you. Like, I'm still thinking about you even after the fact. And I really appreciate the effort you put into, making this dinner
hmm.
special for all of us, or even for me. And number
You're
10.
so generous.
I
Sorry.
try. I mean, but again, this is not necessarily just coming out of my head.
No,
These are like actual rules that people have written up for, you know, to show respect.
the steps. Right.
Uh,
But then they'll
Number 10.
leaving you feeling that way. My
Wait,
bad.
what's that?
I said they'll leave you feeling that you're generous. That's why those steps are,
Right, right. And
oh,
you
she's so
want them to
generous.
feel you want them to feel like you're respectful, charming, generous. You want that, because if they enjoyed having you around, won't they invite you back? Like, this person knew how to have a lovely dinner, and she was so charming and she was so enjoyable at dinner, and she thanked me for dinner. They're going to think about that and they're going to invite you back. You're like, this person didn't embarrass me in front of my other guests. This person was so charming to me and my other guests. Like, it can open the doors for more opportunities after that. You just never know. Or just to deepen the relationship.
Hmm.
And number 10, don't talk on speakerphone. Keep your calls on private and on a low volume. This is something, it is so, There's so many times I know as I'm saying this, you guys have experienced this either at an airport or a restaurant that people are perfectly comfortable speaking on speakerphone in a crowded place, and it's just incredibly disruptive. It's incredibly rude. Your conversations should always be held privately. And if you have to take a phone call in public, try to step away into like a place where there's less people and make sure you're like on the phone. Don't be on speakerphone. And if you have to be like, maybe you have to look at your phone, put your earbuds in and then look at your phone, like be mindful. I don't know where that got lost in society, but be mindful of the people around you. Don't be disruptive or disrespectful of the people around you. And keep your volume of your voice in control. Like I know I'm guilty of this when I get excited. I tend to speak loudly. So just be aware of that. You could be disrupting the
Yeah.
people around you. We
Or
all
maybe
share this
even, right. And even like drinking my grapefruit juice, you don't hear me just,
gulping.
I'm right. And then just putting it on the table, intentionally let my pinky, stop it from bumping the table. But I do that in restaurants too.
Oh, that's
It's
really good.
important because I don't
Yeah.
want to disturb and disrespect the time that they took to fly to New York for the first time, and I'm interrupting what they worked for.
Yeah. It's
Um,
your everyday, but for some other people, that was another thing I've learned is like I got so used to going to like steakhouses and all these fancy restaurants on a regular basis because of like the line of work I was in. And I forgot that like for me this is my Tuesday, but for some people this was like the one time on their
their
birthday.
birthday.
Yeah. Or an anniversary. Like this was a big deal. So you're absolutely right. Even though this may be a common occurrence for us, we still need to be mindful that this is not common for everybody.
It
So,
could be their last wish too. Like you don't know how if they're ill and that was like one of their last wishes is like to go to the even Dallas or never mind LA or Washington. And you don't know these people live there, and I think all the time we take it for granted, people are celebrating anniversaries and things like that.
yeah,
Sorry.
exactly. So, yeah, that was my top 10. Sorry if it came out more like an instructional video, but I just thought these were really helpful and I would love to hear what you guys think. Like, would you like me to cover more topics on etiquette? Would you like me to hone in on something specifically when it comes to etiquette? Let me know in the comments. I would yeah, I'm happy to do a deeper dive because this is something I've been really into. Even Angelica will tell you, like, when she met me, this is something that kind of stuck out was like how polished I came off because that's something I strive for. I love this subject. And it's not something I had to make up. There's all the templates are out there already.
They are, yeah.
Yeah.
And
And
she's like our big sister, so never feel judged. Or like
yeah,
I'm your big sister too. Like that's how I see the dynamic, and I don't feel like people should feel inferior, maybe intimidated, I meant to say, to
yeah,
ask us.
yeah, ask us. I mean, this is something I've actually helped even Angelica with, was with etiquette. She had a few questions and I got to show her certain things. Like I even showed her how like people shouldn't overstay their welcome too when they come to visit. Very important to know when to bow out because you have to be considerate to your host. So my personal thing when it comes to that, just to add to that, is like if you're coming to spend a weekend with somebody, always try to leave early, like Sunday morning, so that they have time to do their week reset, whatever it is. Like, yeah, maybe you guys can go out and have a brunch before you take off or a breakfast before you take off. And then you give them the rest of their day to reset for the rest of the week. Like, you don't know, they need to do laundry, they need to clean the house, they need to go get groceries. So always be mindful of that, of your host. Like, them being a good host, they'll always say, oh, stay as long as you need, but you need to be responsible too and be mindful of your host and give them time to reset too. So yeah, these are the lovely things of etiquette, and that's all I have for you guys today. Did you want to add anything more to that, Angelica? Like as to
I mean, there's a
why
lot of
or
little tidbits. I mean, I think that it is important to not look lost in the room. You want to be able to read the room. And these are important things that you're going to take on with you that you're going to need for generations, not just for you, for your children, dressing, all of it's important. I think that when people don't maybe value etiquette, it's easier to get overlooked. And, overlooked and can be not, you won't get invited if you're overlooked. So I think these
Mhm.
are crucial steps to becoming successful and many other things that it aligns with in your life, whether it's your finances, your career. I mean, it's going to help. I would watch as many videos or read as many books as you could to educate yourself on it, because coming from the dynamics that we come from, I'm showing my parents etiquette, I'm showing my siblings etiquette, things like that. And then I try to make light of it. I try to laugh a lot because I don't want to be so serious all the time, because we're young for a little bit and you want to laugh as much as you can. It's the best medicine.
No, I love it. I am guilty of being too serious. So this is why I need people like Angelica in my life. But I don't know. I love being serious.
You are serious. It makes you hot. I
Oh,
just
it
bring in the
is.
razzle dazzle. A little bit of EDT in
Rebalance.
there, something there,
Rebalance. I'm
yeah.
intense. That's one thing I realize is I'm intense, but there is such comfort in being intense for me. That is like my comfort zone. And it's not that I'm angry. It's not, I like,
You're just intentional.
there it is.
Yeah, I know. It's intentional. And I get told that too. Like, I'm always like on character.
hmm
So talking to my siblings all the time, it kind of makes me laugh. And that's why I had a few giggles and jokes throughout the series, because I'm like, my sisters are looking at me knowing dang well I just had tacos and elotes. Like, and hot Cheetos and lemon and.
Still eat those. Still eat
Yeah, I
those and
know.
be
But they're
on.
like, they're gonna watch this and they're going to be like, she lying? You know what I mean? Like, those are our siblings. They're gonna not, they're gonna make sure they hold us to the highest
Time
standard.
and a place. There's a time and a place. And when I'm with my family, definitely let my hair down. Like nobody gets to see that version of me other than my family. So there's a time and a place. And that's part of it is knowing when that etiquette needs to come into play and when you don't need it. And
Yeah,
we don't need to be proper with our brothers and sisters. We've
yeah, but
we've
it's
seen us at
good.
our worst.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
On that note, we will wrap it up. So don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode. New episodes drop every other week, and we want to hear from you. So let us know in the comments what topics you'd love for us to cover next. Until next time, keep chasing your dreams and making them a reality. Bye.
bye.